Morning guys, welcome back to the channel. As you can see, it's a glorious day outside. Barely any wind. Been a little while since I've been out on the water, so I'm going to go out for a cruise. Just a casual run on the Manukau harbour today, I think. I actually want to test this buoyancy that I've added onto the back of my fishing kit. Basically just a big chunk of closed cell foam, but I want to go out and test that and see if it actually makes a difference. And I'm actually worried that's going to affect me when I'm riding the ski, and I don't want that to happen. So yeah, I'll go out and give it a test run and see what happens and do a bit of testing, and from there we can make any changes we need to make. So yeah, we'll hook it up, we'll get out on the harbour and go for a black. I've got a pie and a bottle of water. We are good to go. I don't need to refuel anything today, we're only going out on the harbour, so we won't be using too much fuel. But that's another perk of having a 20 litre auxiliary tank when you ski. I went out and I think I used about 45-50 litres last time, going around Waiheke and up to the Firth. But of course, if I've got 90 litres total, then I've only used half of it, so I can keep going for another few fishing trips. And if you're only doing small trips, of course, then you get like 3 or 4 or 5 even trips in before you have to refuel. So yeah, it's not a bad thing having 20 litres of extra fuel capacity. And what a day. It's nice and warm, the water's still pretty cold. 16 degrees, so not too bad. It's bang on high tide at the moment. Probably should have been out here about an hour, 2 hours ago to get the best fishing on that incoming tide, but I slept it. Yeah, first impressions of the flotation on the back is when it was docked in the ramp, it was actually completely out of the water, which is good, because hopefully that means it's completely out of the water and it doesn't affect the hull when you're running. And also, it only comes into play when you put a bit more weight on the back. So yeah, I'll have a play around with that, maybe jump on the chili bin a bit, something like that. Yeah, got a couple of rods with me, just the soft bait rods. Might go out and have a flick around the shallows, maybe see if I can find some trevally or something like that. Yeah, we'll see what happens. Everything looks pretty good back here so far. I can lean right over the back and the foam goes under the water, but it doesn't actually completely submerge the foam, it just comes up to near the top of the foam and it feels pretty stable. So it's a promising start. Let's get out there and see if we can find some fish. Kind of miss fishing on the Manukau harbour. One of my old haunts. Some really good fishing to be had if you know what you're doing. So the good thing about being a glass off like it is you can see absolutely anything when you're riding along. I just saw some fish splash to the left of me. So I thought I'd stop and cast a lure at them. Funny, if you see out that side there's quite a dark cloud, looks like a storm cloud out there, and then if you turn around and look out the back, she is a glass off, sunny as anything, couldn't ask for better. I definitely think this flotation works on the back. may even just move on to the sandbar a bit and sort out my tackle there. Right, so I've come up to a channel marker here. Quite often they can be a magnet for kahawai and that sort of thing, but also kingfish. I have actually pulled snagged jigs off these at low tide as well. So we might just have a cast around here. And what a day. Kind of forgotten what it's like out here on a mint day. Check if I got on here. The boss. Not really ideal for shallow water fishing. So if I remember correctly, I think I've got soft bait with a tuning blade on it. Go with that. What I'm going to do is swap this handle over. I had Kelly out last time, and of course she's right-handed, so I'll swap the reel over for her. Even though I encourage people to use the reels, your dominant hand on the rod, and it really does make things so much nicer when you're constantly casting and flicking the bail arm over. If you haven't tried it, just give it a go and see what it's like. Spot. Well, we got our first fish. It's just a kahawai, but still something to have a bit of fun with. Oh, these nets are a pain. How I've got that little bad fish. I'm not really looking for a feed today, so you can go straight back. Right, the tide is starting to run out now, so quite close to some of my deep spots for snapper, so I might actually just put a heavier jig on and go try those spots, see what happens, and failing that I'll go back to the soft bait and try again. Position ourselves. A few little bites then. We haven't had much luck today, only that one kahawai earlier. The tide is starting to run out now. We're around 30 metres deep at the moment. I think what we will do is head back onto the sandbar now that there's a bit of current movement, and go throw the soft bait around again and see if we can get a trev. So the tide's running out with a bit of decent amount of current now, so just move to another spot and try soft baiting here for a bit. 4.5 metres of water. So one other thing I want to try when I'm out here, since it's a nice calm day, is go up where I think there may be scallops and see if I can use the side scan to find scallops. See if that'll work. I feel like if you zoom in enough you should be able to see them relatively clearly. But we will soon find out. The water is quite murky today, which isn't going to be in our favour. Right, let's go for a cruise up on the sandbar and see if we can see any scallops. If I see any kahawai, I might do a little bit of sight casting to kahawai. Quite often you see them feeding on the surface when you're when it's such a calm day like this. We're just cruising along in no wake mode, doing about 4 knots at the moment. Yeah, so we're just up in the shallows and just constantly watching the side scan to see what's going on. It's quite interesting. I think there might be a little school of fish there. Yeah, it's quite interesting just watching it and seeing how the bottom changes. It's quite smooth at the moment, but back where I was, there was a lot of definition on the bottom, and yeah, you'd never know that stuff without actually having side scan and having it give you a view of what the bottom's like. So I feel like I just saw a huge school of fish on the side scan. Nothing there. So we just saw a few fishy looking marks, so stop and have a cast. Alright, I'm just going to carry on cruising, see if we can find anything interesting. Well, we still haven't had any luck with the fish. It's quite interesting just cruising along like this in the shallows and watching the side scan. Look at all the shit in the water. Yeah, what a day to be out. Couldn't get any better. I might cruise that way more and get back closer to the channel because the tide is going out and I'm only 2 meters deep, so last thing I want to do is get stuck here with no water. It's a big current that rips past the end of this jetty, so it can be tricky to get into. Right, got ski back on the trailer. Pretty cruisy day out there. Yeah, this is something that I may have on my website soon as well. There's a guy that makes these tethers, and they're like I had on my old cedar. They just connect to the bow, then connect up here somewhere out of the way, and they're just an easy access to the bow because you'll never be able to get to the bow unless you jump in the water when you're out on the ski. So that's just a nice easy way to be able to connect something to the bow. Yeah, the fishing kit went well, and that's a bit of foam that I've got on there, and you really notice the buoyancy, especially when you're on the back. I can pretty much sit on the bin now without an issue at all, and you can see my bin's actually quite far back compared to the back of the ski as well. But yeah, she's a good thing. Still a cracker of a day out there. Summertime. Hopefully some kingfish will be back in the harbour soon.